I hang out with your imaginary friend?
He's not imaginary. He's not your friend.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Backlot Banter. My name is Tucker Hazel. Today, I'm joined by my cuddly little co-host who holds a dark secret, Tanner Dykstra, and today we're here to talk about Imaginary, Blumhouse's new original horror movie. Yay! We're here for original horror movies. Yippee! Tanner, we've seen Imaginary, but I'd be curious to hear the thoughts of other people who have seen Imaginary, whether that's in our comment section or in our Discord, which has a link in the description. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, enjoy talking about movies, we do a lot of that here at Backlot Banter, so you can subscribe and like the video and all that. Tanner?
Yeah?
It's Imaginary time, baby. Let's go. Chauncey o'clock.
It's Chauncey o'clock.
How do you
Check
feel?
your clocks and watches. Tucker?
Chauncey o'clock.
Hey, listen, pal. Hey, listen. Jason, I'm talking to Jason Blum here.
Oh, yeah.
You gotta stop putting out these stinkers, man. This fucking thing stinks. This one reeks, dude. This is a bad movie. I mean, we'll get into as deep of specifics as we want to, but like, if you want me to just run down the list, not scary, hindered by its PG-13 rating, bad performances, horrendous script, too much going on, this weird additions of lore that don't make sense, and tries to trick you as well as trying to scare you, and neither works.
You covered all the bases there.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were a baseball diamond, there'd be no bases showing, if you know what I'm saying.
I just stole all of them.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is another Blumhouse stinker. I mean,
yeah.
Okay, the idea, fine, whatever.
Whatever.
A spirit, imaginary friend attached to a kid.
Hey, there's been worse horror movies ideas.
Definitely, even this year. Even this year from Blumhouse.
Even this year from Blumhouse.
And this is better than Night Swim.
Yes, I would agree.
Only because of one thing.
What's that?
Well, two things.
Okay.
That last section of the movie is visually creative. It's interesting.
It is.
It's ridiculous.
It's
crazy.
It that.
And we'll get into that a little bit more. Mm-hmm. But I also think that the main actress whose name is escaping me right now, DeWanda Wise, is good. She is delivering a very likable performance. She has a good personality. She's trying to be a good mom. Yeah. And I think that she sells the more emotional moments. I don't think she sells horror moments necessarily, but I think she sells the more likable, trying to be a mom moments of this film. And I'm so used to generic ass horror protagonists.
Sure.
Having a character that is trying to be a good stepmother and doesn't quite know how to navigate that, I think DeWanda Wise sells that. I think she is the best part of this movie. And she's not phenomenal, but she is easily the best part of this movie.
Here's what I'll say.
She has some personality, and she's selling these lines. She's not phoning it in.
Here's what I'll say. I don't want to catch too many aspersions on DeWanda Wise as a performer, so I'll say severely hindered by the script. That's what I will say.
No, absolutely. I would agree with that.
Yeah. Tucker, where should we fucking start with Imaginary? I don't know.
Well, I think we need to start with the scares and the PG-13-ness of it all, because we see a lot of horror movies.
That's true.
I can't off the top of my head tell you how many of them are PG-13 PG-13 horror movies.
Mm-hmm.
But this is definitely one of those where every bit of horror is cut away from, every bit of possible gore or interesting imagery is cut away from, and screams are cut halfway through because you can't let that linger, and it feels edited around in a really, really awkward way.
You know what it really reminded me of, Tucker? So there's been this surge of online creepypasta horror that has been turned into game series. This obviously was spurred on by something like Five Nights at Freddy's, but then you have Poppy Playtime and all this stuff.
Sure.
I was like, this movie is handcrafted for that generation of horror fans who grew up on that kind of thing, or should I say, it is a direct attempt to pander to that kind of thing. It feels very similar because there's this shallow kiddie pool level of lore here, and the monster designs and the little things hidden in the background. Oh, did you see that? It's all very much in that vein for me. I'm just rolling my eyes every time they're oh, there's a shadowy figure. Ooh. Or when we see the Chauncey monster, I guess.
Yeah, the Chaunster tag.
The Chaunster, which again, I like with the production design at the end. I gotta give it to them. Cool that they made it seemingly a physical, real suit.
Oh, it's definitely a practical effects. Yeah.
So I dig that. But also,
sometimes it's very obvious that it's a practical effect.
Yeah,
like, that's a fucking
it's
guy in a suit.
a little too obvious because like the mask and the gnarly teeth and everything. I'm like,
it's still a good design. It's a good design.
It's a good design, but it's not like.
And I'm glad it's not a CGI blob.
I agree, but I think it's also a matter of like it's not directed well enough to be scary. Like you you can make anything scary with good direction, and it's just not there.
No, but I mean, I also think that these scares, the horror element of this movie is very lacking because this is a hour 40-minute
True,
horror
it is.
movie. This is way longer than it needed to be, and it plods along for that first 2/3 of the film, where the only scares or tension that you're getting are Chauncey sitting in a corner. And you know that Chauncey is scary, and Chauncey's face will go.
I know that.
Chauncey will go. He'll kind of furrow his little Chauncey brow a little bit, and you're like, that's not scary. I just see this bear sitting there.
But Tucker, if you were a 12-year-old, it might be scary.
No, and that is really what this feels like to me, is a baby's first horror movie. And cutting away from things and having the main creepy thing be something that's familiar to children and it has an air of cuteness about it, but it does hold the sinister package in the background. It feels very much like they're trying to get new horror fans. And if that works for that audience, sure. Fine. But I do think that Chauncey, as a bear, in this line of toys, horror kids ideas, last year with Megan, Child's Play, we get these movies, but Chauncey is easily the weakest of those. It's just a goddamn teddy bear. And I understand that it's supposed to be, okay, it's generic, it's the basic idea of what a child's imaginary friend would be, but it just means Chauncey's boring. Chauncey's boring to look at. He's not frightening. He doesn't even have the sort of sinister looking edge that Megan or Chucky do. Yeah. And so when the bear of Chauncey is the root of a scare or a jump scare or anything, it's not interesting to look at. It's not clever because it's just so weird that they made this like very simple ass bear the promotional idea for this film. Yeah, and
cause I kind of said this when we were looking at trailers too, is that they're very, very clearly trying to make him like a somewhat iconic horror figure, and I was like, it's not gonna work. You can't do that. You can't just manufacture that out of nowhere.
No, if he had like, I don't know, purple polka dots or was wearing a funny suit or something like that,
if he did anything, did anything, then it would be something like. No need to slander the boy, but the boy is the same thing. It's just a fucking doll that sits around. It's like he's not doing anything. It's not iconic because he's not chasing people down and murdering them. I don't know. I digress. Tucker, the performances here are also astoundingly poor. And like I said, don't want to cast too many aspersions because I'm not familiar with any of these performers, any of these actors. The only thing I've seen any of them in is DeWanda Wise in Jurassic World Dominion.
Yeah, which is only in that movie for like fucking 10 minutes.
So I guess I'll blame the script here. And these lines, Tucker, these lines are making me, I was either, like I said, laughing or rolling my eyes at a lot of these. Especially when it comes down to like the family stuff where we're supposed to care about these characters and what might happen to them.
Yep.
The teenage daughter fucking is always awful in these movies. It's always they can't fucking write these kids, and it grinds my gears when she's like, no kid would act like that. Why is she just openly and outwardly antagonistic at every single turn? Where she's like, her mom's like, hey, what I forget what her name was, Candace or something like that.
It's not Candace.
Thank you.
It's
Look
Taylor.
it up. Taylor. Hey Taylor, you want to come have dinner? She's like, fuck you, bitch. I'm like, she doesn't say that, but that's essentially the energy she gives off. It's like these characters.
And then she gets on
like,
her phone.
Yeah, then she goes on her phone.
Instagram.
Yeah. These are like one ply characters. That's how paper thin they are. It's absolutely so annoying.
And they tried to give her a redemption by the point where the two of them have to team up to save Alice, the little girl, by the end of the film, where they're working together. But I don't like the character, so I don't really care to see them have a redemption. And I think that at least that character has an arc. At least that character has presence. I think actually the second best character in the movie, the second best performance is the little girl.
I would agree.
Her her name is Piper Braun.
Yeah.
I think she does actually really well. She's selling some of these lines, especially the scene where she's like talking to herself while she's being interviewed by the psychiatrist, and she's like looking at nothing, and she's like delivering these lines of like both that she hates her mom in the situation, but also she's scared of Chauncey, and like that little girl's giving a pretty goddamn good performance.
She does a good job. She does a good job. But
the other characters are like Z-tier characters in their own movie. The dad in particular, I thought was awful. I thought he was so bad, so boring.
Thankfully, he fucking ships out halfway through.
He gets gone.
Yeah.
But then even worse than that guy is the
Tucker
old woman. Holy shit! My God. I mean, that is a I will stick. This woman will stick in my head for the next year until we're doing our award shows next year, and I will. She's up for bad performance. Holy shit, God!
Dude, it's so. And I don't know how much we want to talk about the ending. If we want to do like, hey, spoilers for Imaginary, yeah.
Spoilers for Imaginary from this.
Spoilers for Imaginary. when we do the fucking pivot to she's evil, and she wanted to get them in, and she's been working with. Did they say Chauncey? They just say, I've been working with Chauncey. I've been working with the
spirit.
The spirit.
Entity.
The entity. Like from Mission Impossible. She's like, I've been working with it the whole time. And she, like, the moment where she, like, this is incredible! And she, like, looks at the sky. I'm like, just make her turn evil already. Just do it. I don't care.
Yeah, and that is a comedically bad moment. Yeah. But so many of her other moments in this film, she's delivering these lines with like a really weird energy. She doesn't feel like a normal person. She's saying things that are just very, very, very odd. And maybe they're trying to go for like an off-putting kind of like
maybe they're trying to make a little like a schmaltzy kind of like we're playing it up a little bit, but like no one else is like that.
But her role in the film is also just really weird. She's studying this imaginary friends thing, and so she is exposition the character.
She is
also the twist villain.
Yes, she's a fucking yap machine when it comes to exposition. She's like, oh, so the little girl and the kids and the spirits from other cultures, they do this. And listen, we have to do this. And this thing didn't work because you didn't do this the right way. I was like, talk like a human. Talk like a normal person would talk.
How does she know any of this? I mean, she's been studying it.
Well, because she's working with the entity.
Let's talk about the imaginary lore.
Okay, here we go.
We're no goddamn sense.
Imaginary lore explained.
Imaginary lore not explained because imaginary can't even explain its own fucking lore. The base idea of it, I don't hate. I would watch a good movie with this premise. Yeah. The idea of imaginary friends that are sometimes corrupted evil spirits that want to take that don't want their kids to leave, and so they take them into the fucking imaginary world.
The never ever.
The never ever. That's a great point, which is also not a great name, but whatever.
Yeah.
But she never had an imaginary friend. She was privy to Jessica's imaginary friend,
right?
But wanted to go into the never ever. Like when Jessica was a kid, she's been fucking like seething over this for fucking 40 years. Where she's like, I just wish you'd taken me with you. It's like, what do you mean?
You're talking about the old lady.
Still, yeah. You don't know what's in there. How do you know about any of this? It doesn't make any fucking sense.
It doesn't make any sense. There was something else I wanted to say about the imaginary lore. Okay, so this thing feeds on imagination as like a concept, which whatever. And also, this is what I wanted to say, because like Tucker, you say, I'd watch a movie with this good concept. It's like this is where like 90% of horror movies, like haunted house movies, start. Is the little kid has an imaginary friend, and the imaginary friend is a demon or a ghost or whatever.
That's a good point.
That is every single fucking haunted house movie.
Yeah.
Except for the one that came out last year. That one was about a mansion. But like, so this thing feeds on imagination, and the twist at the end is that we never wanted Alice. We wanted you. Jessica. That's what we wanted the whole time. And it does this like fake out ending thing that's really fucking lame and really only serves to be like, oh, there's more movie left. That's what it did to me. It's not like, holy shit, it's, oh fuck, we gotta resolve this again.
And Tanner, in that sequence, we get the most PG-13 ass scary people ever who have like meatballs for eyes. It's
yeah.
Like, what the fuck am I looking at?
Because they have like little button eyes like the teddy bear has.
No, those are not button eyes. Well, they're like big, they're glass.
Yeah.
teddy bears have like glass eyes.
That's
inset into
whatever.
the thing.
Yeah.
And that's probably what they're supposed to be. But they're like bulging. I'm like, that's really
Yeah.
fucking weird.
Yeah.
But I even think that the movie, the lore with all this zany shit in the fucking Tim Burton ass thing, which I want to talk a little bit more about,
Yeah.
is fine. It's whatever. It's horse shit. But the problem is, I don't understand. I watched this whole movie. I paid attention to fucking Imaginary.
Okay.
I don't know what Chauncey is, because there's like 4 layers of imaginary friend demon nonsense.
Yeah.
And so no one can see Chauncey unless the Chauncey entity, this imaginary spirit entity, is touching them, is in their mind, whatever. And so only Alice and Jessica can see Chauncey. There's a twist about 2/3 of the way through where no one else has been able to see Chauncey.
The teddy bear.
That's not
the
true.
teddy bear. Yeah.
Yeah, except that's not true, because the annoying boy, the annoying neighbor,
God, he sucks too. God, he sucks.
Could see Chauncey multiple times. Saw not only the bear, but like the bear doing
the
things,
monster,
the shape and
yeah.
all that. So that's not even you're not even consistent in that,
Because he was going to get eaten by Chauncey. Does Chauncey eat people? Like actually eat people?
I don't. I it's hard to tell what Chauncey can actually do.
Yeah.
Especially because, and this is the real issue with this, is there's like 4 layers. There's Chauncey, but there's also the creepy shadow guy that's in the background.
Yeah, what is that?
That they kind of mentioned at one point that was the thing that was like projecting the bear as like bait.
Yeah, so
or whatever.
that's the demon that is like making all of this.
Yes and no. Because it's not. Because also there's like the spider thing, and also there's the bear, the big bear.
But
what is it all one thing?
But the spider thing is only in her dream, because that's the thing that she draws the book of. But also she's drawing the book because she has these
but also
memories.
the spider thing is what tries to get her at the very end when they finally close the door.
I thought I thought that was just like the bear's claws, but no, it is like tendrils or whatever.
Yeah, no, it's the Steve the Spider thing or whatever.
Also, I hate this implication of like, oh, her imagination is so powerful. That's why we want Jessica. I was like, this children's book is not anything special.
Yeah, but then also is there only one entity? Or there's apparently a bunch of them, because some of them are good. Some of the imaginary friends.
Yes, that's what exposition grandma
don't steal
tells
everyone.
us.
Yes, yeah. Exposition grandma. But we never. Here's the real problem with the ending sequence, Tanner.
Okay, here we go.
It's reasonably visually interesting. It's got that fucking like staircases going to infinity.
It's MC
down.
Eschner. It's that style thing.
MC Escher with a checkerboard fucking pizzeria floor, and like haunted house walls that have like peeling wallpaper. Fine, whatever. We only spend time in like 5 feet of this thing. There's like 2 hallways that like the characters are actually present in. Yes. So we
only built like 2 hallways.
Yes, absolutely. So we don't really get an idea of what this place is, but it's supposed to be a place where your imagination can go crazy and anything you can think of can come real. But the only examples of that we see are
when they build the door.
They built the door, and Alice is having like a mega tea party with a lot of presents, and her mom is there, and also there's a puppy around.
There's a puppy,
and so I feel like they just cut their own premise super super short, because they only explore a tiny fragment of this place. It's unclear which characters in which situations can actually use the ability of this place to grant their wishes, because the old woman is excited to be there because she somehow knows it can grant imaginary whatever, but she can't do anything.
Or at least she doesn't before she gets murdered.
And Taylor doesn't do anything.
No.
It's just
because Jessica has
unclear.
such a powerful imagination, is that she's able to do it. Talking what else with imaginary? I thought there was something I wanted to bring up. Is there anything else that you wanted to mention with imaginary? Well, I think
this is a dumb movie.
It's a really bad movie. I guess here's what I wanted to say. This is circling back to something you said about this being baby's first horror movie. And now, Tucker, we just got done doing our Kung Fu Panda 4 review, where I already felt a little bit like, well, back in my day, about like this movie that we had growing up, the sequel to a movie we had growing up. And I don't want to do that again, but here I go. Did we have baby's first horror movies, or is this a very recent invention? Like, do you remember?
Well, I wasn't watching horror movies until I was like
Here's the
16
thing.
or 17.
I was, but not in theaters. Like
Yeah.
my friend Ben, shout out Ben, who I
doesn't
had
watch
the
these videos.
who doesn't watch these. He might. That's how he found. That's how he found. Actually, no, he does know. He does know that I do this still. He was a big horror movie guy. We would have a bunch of friends over. We'd watch. He'd get some horror movie on DVD or pull it up on Amazon Prime or whatever, and we'd watch it. And it was never like this. Like it was horror programming that was like rated R or whatever. So where did this trend come from? And can we stop it? Is my question. Can we please stop? I think it's an invention of Blumhouse largely, and I'm not super educated in this, but like Night Swim and Five Nights at Freddy's and Imaginary, like all this stuff. I'm like, where? Why? Who is this for?
I think it's just a little more apparent for us now that we're really in tune with all this, because I remember like Ouija being the PG-13 horror movie that like when we were,
that's a good point.
We couldn't see R-rated movies when
Yes.
we were like middle school or whatever. That's what my friends would go to. The Visit is one of those paranormal activity movies are PG-13.
Okay, the PG-13. That was one I was going to look up.
The Ring is one of those.
Is The Ring PG-13?
I looked up PG-13 horror movies from the 2000s. Yeah, it is. It's PG-13.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I would have thought that was R.
Signs, Cloverfield.
Okay.
Grudge. When a Stranger Calls. Like there are these things. I just think what they're trying to do seemingly with some of these is just make them present more as for kids.
Yeah, well, that's
for
the thing.
younger
When
horror
you
fans.
the ones that you brought up, like The Ring and Ouija, is a separate example, but also that's Blumhouse too. Am I wrong? It is.
And so are some of the Paranormal Activity movies.
Exactly, but like the first Paranormal Activity or The Ring or whatever, these are things that had sort of original ideas and they didn't feel like they were trying to hook like 12-year-olds to come see it. It was just like, this is a good horror movie that happens to be PG-13. So I don't know. I
Get excited for Tarot, Tanner.
I don't know. Tarot might. I don't know. I don't know even if I'm really talking about a thing or if it's just purely the Blumhouse brand of PG-13 horror movies that I don't care for.
I think that's definitely possible. I think that Blumhouse has been on a very weird streak. I mean, Megan and Five Nights at Freddy's last year were both very successful. One of them is significantly better than the other one. But with this and Night Swim this year, I mean, these are both tanker stinkers. I mean, they're not going to start franchises. They're both tremendously successful in terms of box office return on microscopic investments. This movie's gonna make back its budget and then some opening weekend, and that's what these are meant to do. But the problem is, because of the budget and because of the targeted demographic, these films feel very, very ethereal. Like they just exist to make back their budget on that opening weekend, stick around for a week or two, and then sit on streaming services until the rest of the time.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
But we're always telling studios, chop your budgets, make things for specific audiences. But when Blumhouse does that, we're like, no, not like that.
I think the key thing for me is like, yes, do that, but first and foremost, find a director who has like an interesting style and idea and can deliver on that. And hey, the recent offerings haven't really brought that to me. So
no,
I don't know.
Especially not Jeff Wadlow, Tim.
Maybe I'm just an old man yelling at a cloud. I don't really know. But, sue me, I guess. Make better movies, I guess.
But Tanner, we've got Speak No Evil coming up this year from them. We've got The Wolfman. They're working on that with Universal. Megan 2.0 next year and Black Phone Part 2. So, hey, things are looking up.
Things are looking up now. I would tend to agree. But also I feel like a lot of this kind of stuff they maybe haven't announced yet. But I don't know. I'm sure they got more spoons in the soup to cook up. But Tucker, I'm gonna give Imaginary a 3 out of 10, flat 3.
I'm gonna give it a 3.3. This is a bad movie. It does nothing. It has one interesting idea, but it doesn't even do that right. And it fumbles its own lore. It turns you away from its own characters. It's just slop. It's just cinematic slop.
Bad stuff.
Tanner,
yeah.
That's 2 Bear reviews down in one day.
Boom.
Thanks, buddy. We did it. Double Bear Day.
Yep.
Well, We'll see you for the next Blumhouse horror movie.
We'll see you for Arthur the King.
Yippee!